Welcome back to my lovely HP community and the 5D Collective. To those who are new, you might want to tune into some of our previous episodes, but if not, we are a group of people, some empowered feminine mystics and some empowered feminine human beings who have their 0 1 year old in the forefront and wholeness in the forefront. So, internal secure attachment. And with that being said, we don't have any of that self-fulfilling prophecies that come from people who have abandonment, shame, all the wounds that can be healed with a good therapist. Okay, so with that, I'm going to give you the gist of the story that I was going to share with you all. Number one, true lovers are not going to be lovers if they are not an empowered feminine, because as I have shared in our short and the episode and our channeled guidance of today too on the audio version of our lovely HP content, distorted feminine, masculine 3D and 4D are unsafe. They are dysregulated with fear and shame, and they have an empty hole in the heart with the longing and the not securely attached 0 1 year old. So there's not security or love because they're really filling their own emotional insecure needs. Okay, so while it is our mammalian heritage to have at least one secure attachment figure, you want to be able to know that it is possible for you to be your own 0 1 year old. So some therapists have not ever met one. That's because obviously they're working with the people who have not secure attachment. I have met one. It's called Maria. And that's why, as an empowered feminine today, I told you don't waste any of your time with anyone who basically leads their life with unhealed and ignored trauma, leads their life with deciding to be their dysregulated nervous system threat response, like that fancy lady in a suit, leads their life with deciding to stay non-bilaterally integrated. Excuse me, you're confusing science and spirituality. Leads their life with the inner child having an adaptive child behavior, Cusco, or a maladaptive pattern of behavior, basically Pinocchio on the island, but use any of those yucky movies like Hangover, and anybody who wants to keep on using all of that, which is in a very shitty frequency. Okay, it's not Lucifer. It's just people who don't want to go and heal stuff. It takes time, but they don't have the desire to take accountability, to then learn healthy self-soothing and self-regulating. And so you can all know that it's not our choice. Yeah. So we leave alone those who will have inner child with adaptive child behaviors and maladaptive patterns of behaviors that are ignored, unhealed, and not accounted for. So they also, in fact, are not mindfully or spiritually living or loving. That's why they don't enter the Christ consciousness. They don't love themselves first. They don't love us. They don't love us because they're not empowered. They don't have a social engagement system. So they're really just in it. Again, we're a body. That's basically it. By convenience. That's how it works when you have people who don't take ownership. And so my friend, my facade friend, that's exactly what I learned about him as we were growing up. But I saw that he was not the only masculine, like the distorted feminines, and really just allowed me to share masculines, distorted feminines. They make a pair for a reason. And they all will satisfy each other's mammalian heritage, and then with their group, peer pressure will take over, and then they get to be a herd of very unimpressive human beings for an empowered feminine who knows how to be a differentiated self. That doesn't mean we're not friends. They're just not our lovers, because, a person who has a master can't be empowered. So they're not their own master. They're not the owner of their destiny. They're not the owner of their sense of self. They're not their owner of their nervous system, like the Zen master with his laundry. So that empty heart is not someone who's owning it. If it's being owned, then you're going to find not an empty heart. You're going to find a person who knows how to talk to you and how to fulfill their own self-regulating, self-soothing in a healthy way, and wants that. They want healthy relationships. They want healthy habits. They want all that involves gooey, wee, wee, and their child part to be alive with them, but sleeping. Okay? No implicit memory of, okay. My friend, facade friend, he is self-serving like anybody else who does not grow to become their unconsciously loving, mindfully living and loving, aware, empowered, feminine and or masculine self. And with that, not good or bad. Simply put, they don't have a funny bone all the time, and they don't know the inner child adult love language. So they don't know catch a falling star and put it in your pocket, save it for a rainy day, or never let it fade away. They don't know when I'm feeling blue, all I want to do. No, they don't know any of it. So if they're in a pissy mood and you're needing support, you won't find it there, which is why an empowered feminine doesn't find any heart with a hole cozy. Okay? But we obviously will know that we can attempt to build something like that. And that's where the true lovers, you don't attempt, you will, because of the capacity for you to consistently be whole together, wholehearted, independently. And you'll know that in time. Okay? And as for friends, the same thing goes. Okay. So my facade friend, he's self-serving. He's a person who has built relationships based on his own needs. I'm 14 when I meet him. We become grown-ups. He gets dumped after 14 years by his first girlfriend. I get to be there with him. Stuff goes down where he lies to me and he doesn't take ownership. And at a certain point, he also does a lot of other buffoonery. And so he's not being himself for Maria without attachment trauma information and understanding that people who don't own their 0 to 8-year-old will be Cusco for the rest of their lives. Okay? So to me, this is a very important bond. I know he's a part of my oversoul. And I choose, that's it. I don't talk to him for 5 years. In those 5 years, I have an angry box where I put him in. And there's another person. So there's only 2 people. It was a hate box, but I didn't really hate them. But I had that box. God, when I'm ready, I'll process it. I know that it's not meant to stay this way. So my clairs are active. And they're activating more and more because my twin flame 1 comes into the picture, but our earth goes through its transformation. And so my mysticism is part of now my journey. And I know something's going down because I get a download and I get a hunch. And as always, my hunches are always about 7 days prior to events taking place. That's what I can tell you. 7-3 is really fascinating. But my friend writes me and I say yes to meeting because as I got taught, when people are in the shithole, you don't leave them hanging and dry. And this has happened to me more than just my facade friend, but my facade friend is the one who taught me how not to mention the being yourself. And then the attachment trauma educators, they don't know of people who are securely attached. So I know from them that they don't know human beings that are empowered feminines. And that is actually something that I can attest to when I look outside and see Pinocchio's island all over the place. But I'm not going to be pointing it out to them because, again, that's where healing trauma, as Patrick Tian points out, and getting your body, the feelings back online is your choice. That determined Robert Sapolsky I can also bring in. And love is unconditional if you're an empowered feminine, Christ consciousness again. So my friend is consistently loved all the time. But meantime, the story is, we have 2 days. I'm very serious. I'm only there because I know that that's the right thing to do. And so I have integrity. And also, he is my friend. He pissed me off. I'm not angry at him for no reason. I'm angry because he disrespected a bond. So this is what I tell him in these first 2 days. And I'm telling him things based on also knowing that he judges books by their cover. And I tell him that. I say, I'm telling you this thing here because you judge people. Did you ever think? And he's like, yeah. So I try to inform him of how to be a flexible, adaptive, coherent, energized, stable brain, basically. Today I have other words that I can share. It's called prefrontal. Zen master doesn't know how to do it. It's called secure, attached human being who's a functional inner child adult. Years go by and I find out that everything I said meant nothing because of the way that I end up hearing things that are completely new to me, and when I address it, my friend takes no ownership of it. And he's looking at me with this blank stare, but also he repeats things that are not accurate about that day in those first 2 days. And so now I know I wasn't heard at all. And I go home and I'm like, you know what, though, he was completely oblivious to this. And so in 2 different settings, my friend teaches me how not to address any of Cusco behavior with man, woman, or they might they be. And then the attachment trauma educators inform me of why, again, as I informed you all today with our theme, don't waste time on people who are not going to take unconditional love seriously, and that means with their self. And then to bring it to you too. If they don't know how to be gooey ooey inside and they are on and off, in and out, they get into dick behavior, that's something that I thank my friend for having taught me how to recognize the tone, and how to simply put, that's it. Because any person who has a 3-year-old with a broken heart and a 1-year-old that's not securely attached has a teenager who's leading the room, which is Cusco. So the attitude would be dick behavior, but in the inside, I'm perceiving as an empowered feminine their child parts. And the blank stare is the stare of a person who's only leading with the left mode because they're uninterested in their feelings and their child parts. So I have a structurally dissociated, biologically rude person who could use a therapist, doesn't want one, and therefore they're not building a genuine relationship with me. I'm just a warm body that they get to have a good time with, like my friend, who this is the reason he was an asshole, because as we grew up, completely just wherever he wanted something, he'd go get it. And what it is fear of abandonment, rejection, shame, humiliation, and all of those childhood wounds which are healable. I don't need to cancel you though. As an empowered feminine and Christ consciousness, this is why I keep sharing with you out. So, rejection, abandonment, injustice, betrayal, humiliation, shame, they can use therapy, not a person who is a martyr superior. And those are the people who think that telling you something, you should go to therapy. No, they're weaponizing words. They're just as in need of therapy as anybody else. Empowered feminines don't tell people what they should do when they are emotionally immature. We have integrity, and that's the beauty of the mindfully, spiritually living and loving person who's being their true self and who is saying, just be you. And now that I know that some people will be you, like my facade friend showed me, without taking ever any ownership about anything, because their 0-8-year-old is in the lead, I love my friend to death. I just know that my heart will not be tucked in there, because that's the exact thing. It's not able to be tucked in a space. I have no room. We're not building a genuine heart-to-heart moment when I'm talking to you and you're talking over me, and I end up figuring it out. So what happens is I get to recalibrate so that I can meet whatever it is that your interests are, what my interests are, where they match. So it's a facade, but it's not just a facade for a person that is leading it with heart. But I'm going to be leading it with the awareness that I don't have a space that is necessarily there for the reasons that I was in the relationship. I'm in the relationship because I'm genuinely sharing all of me, because I have no disowned parts. This is the part of why we don't say, I'm going to leave now because you have what is called an adaptive child behavior. I don't need to say any of that. I'm a functional adult. I bring to you my functional inner child adult. And then I recalibrate to meet what your adaptive child is, and it always works out, by the way. And it's not something annoying. It doesn't weigh you down. Again, it's not any of that, because my 0-1-year-old, she's internally securely attached, and so are my child parts, because I'm a securely attached human being who isn't in a relationship based on fulfilling a need. I don't need you to. I'm enjoying who we are together. My inner self enjoys our relational self, even with your adaptive child behavior, because also I'm a differentiated self who calibrates in my own social engagement system. And so with that, my friend taught me how to, when I spot it, and I have spotted it, not do anything. And because, like my friend, he didn't really listen to me when I talked to him. Not the first time and not the second time. And like anybody else who actively, I know, Mrs. Men and Women, this is the time of when you understand why people put masks on you. So it's not you putting a mask on yourself. You have no mask. They tell you who you are. And when you meet them, they're called non-bilaterally integrated people who don't know how to do differentiation. Okay, so it's a side note. We'll talk about it again. But in the meantime, true lovers are for an empowered feminine only. Empowered feminines and empowered masculines will be empowered feminines. So they have an inner child with a funny bone. They know the inner child adult love language. Friends are all people, because we will always be there for our friends when you're down and troubled. If we can, time is only 24 hours. So as the solo polyamory I am, that's what I have to say with you. We have 24 hours, and in those 24 hours, if I have some time to share, I will share with all the connections that I love to love with and have fun with. As for a lover, they have to be empowered, which means that they can show up with a whole heart, with a whole self, and talk to me. And that's what we talked about yesterday, and we might talk a little bit more. And this is where it's not defensive, it's not accusational, it's not hard. It's catch a falling star and put it in your pocket, never let it fade away. And then it's save it for a rainy day, and it's also the groovy kind of love, and I love to love, and my baby, he loves to dance. And you may be right, I may be crazy, but it might just be a lunatic you're looking for, and a good one, because I'm a 5D mystic, so I don't do any of Ursula stuff. No, I don't. Okay, we'll be back with more. In the meantime, again, uh, please remember, unsafe, unhealed, dysregulated, fear, shame driven masculine and feminines can use therapy. And then for the ones who catch each other and are all happy, that's great. They're having a good time right now. And we all are having a good time at the end of the day. So, as always, God, thank you so much. Jesus, Holy Spirit, because the reality is Akash, universe, source. We're all good. Between spirituality and sciences and spiritual, we're great. Hey, Robert Spolsky, come on in, determined. So, everyone who has restorative embodiment is doing great. And that's where human love is at. The human suffering love, they're great too, because they're like, hey, how dare you want to teach us emotions? We have our emotions, our threat response, and they go hang out with the flat earthers. There you go. Oh, and there's the fourth wave of the new twin flames, and fifth, and you name it. So again, thank you for stopping by. Like, share, and subscribe, and we'll be back with more, maybe later, maybe the weekend, I don't know, but in the meantime, it's an honor to be here, and I can't wait. We have a new year coming soon, so we'll see what else is next.